It's super common in contracts for companies that employ you to own any IP you create whilst you work for that company, which kind of makes sense on the surface, but a lot of people have a big problem with it. The main reason it makes sense is, well, you probably wouldn't have done it, you wouldn't have the resources to do it without them having paid you. Fine. The other side is, well, it's yours. You are responsible. You built it. So there's a really interesting case here. I think it was back in the 1950s or so. A woman called Henrietta Lacks has single-handedly advanced so much of science and medicine without any knowledge of it. Essentially went in for a procedure. She had cancer, ended up passing away, but a small culture of her cells were taken at the time. And the cancer made her cells immortal. They could reproduce indefinitely, which has been very useful for science. And since that day, they have reproduced and sold globally over 50 million metric tons of her genetic material, i.e. 50 million metric tons of her cells, skin, whatever you want to call it, to test drugs. And she has been very, very helpful in doing that. There was a massive court case, essentially, that her family descendants hadn't seen none of this money. Right, billions have been made from it. And I just want to talk about the morality and the ethics here of where does it stand with those situations? Because as an entrepreneur, when I go and test something, when I go and start a business with my own money, my own time, no one else pays me for this. If it fails, I go hungry. If it succeeds, I eat. No one's coming to save me and I own all of it, right? 100% fair, everyone agrees. And yet, if I work for someone else, if I fall sick, they will continue to pay me. Whether or not there is work to do, they have an obligation to continue to pay me. But in return, everything that I make for them is theirs. And that's kind of the trade-off. So I am falling on this. I think I fall on the side of, in Henrietta Lacks's case, although the story is tragic, and I totally agree, it wasn't done with consent, etc. It was bad situation, but it's helped so much. She did nothing. It was her genetic material that allowed this to happen. It was her genetic anomaly plus cancer that equaled this incredible thing that we've been able to use, but she did nothing. Without the assistance of the doctors taking this and the researchers replicating it, this would have never happened. And that's where I kind of think that's where I stand, I guess, when it comes to employment contracts. And if you do the work for me, for my company, whilst I pay you under my directive, I own it. Because you wouldn't have done that without me. Yes, you did it, but it wouldn't exist today if it wasn't because of me and my prerogative. Deloitte did something similar, actually, when I worked there back in 2016, 17, where if you wanted to do a startup, they had an incubator. Essentially, you could go to them with a business idea. If they think it had merit, they'd give you some money and pay you your normal corporate salary whilst you go about it. But if I remember correctly, I think they own 80% of your company for that. Or it might even be more. But at the time, I remember hearing that and being like, that's ridiculous. Absolute bloody cheek, blah, blah, blah. I was on the side of the average person because I was an employee at the time. How ridiculous, how dare they take what is mine, what I have put my blood, soul, and effort into. But now being on the other side of it, you would gain so much from being in a situation like that, that you might be 10, 20 years ahead of where you could ever get to alone if you start in that place. And all they're doing essentially is recouping the costs for allowing you to do that, and hopefully to make money, which is what businesses need to do to survive. And so yeah, my stance on this has changed in that I actually think, although it's steep, if you're still getting paid full-time salary, even if it doesn't work, and they're helping raise capital, they're giving you access to experts, to networks, like the chances you succeed are more than 5x. I would give you 100x than if you were doing it alone. And for that, they're only asking 80%. I think it's a very, very fair deal. And the same sort of situation with investors. Like the reason we get investors and the reason they take so much of people's companies is because without them, it's not possible. Right? And that's how people will make their money, is if they have money, they will use their skills, networks, assets to help other people grow and leverage faster than they ever could without them. And in return, they make money and together. So yeah, who really owns it? Is it the person who comes up with the idea, or is it the person that executes it? If you ask any entrepreneur, it's the person who executes it. Because ideas are easy, ideas are cheap, plentiful, everyone's got a multi-million idea stashed in their pocket, and very few people actually get off their arse and do it, and sacrifice what it takes to be there, to be the person that builds that amazing vision. Which is why, if you are, my total stance on people like Elon Musk is they bloody well deserve to be as rich as they are, because none of it would have happened without them. That's the stance. And yeah, might be arrogant, but you can ask the 1,300 students whose lives have positively changed, who won't be the same because of the work that we do, and ask them if they're grateful for what we did. That's where I like to put it. Have a great day. Peace.